What up, y'all? James Hancock. I'm back to continue my Dark Souls walkthrough, and I'm going to be doing some sorcerer shit today. There's not that many things, I shouldn't say not that many things left to do in the game. I've still got like 6 or 7 major areas, some of which have really challenging bosses. But today I'm going to be picking up some gear and picking up some spells and opening up some things for my class because my intelligence is getting pretty close to 60 now. So it's time to start blasting the fuck out of people with some of the most dangerous spells in the game. So what I am doing right now, you might be like, wow, this is the 1000th time we've seen you go this route. But it's because after my victory over the 4 kings, the gear of a Witch Beatrice is now available close by. I'm not entirely sure why her gear suddenly becomes available down there, but for whatever reason, I guess, I don't know, I'd have to look into it. It just appears, and I'm not going to ask me questions about it because it's badass sorcerer gear if you want to look like a witch, or if you just want to look like David Bowie. I mean, in a weird way, the top piece looks kind of like a hardcore glam rock outfit on a male character. It doesn't look quite as cool on a female character, which is strange, but that's just the way it works out. But here is the gear, and more importantly, you get Beatrice's Catalyst, which basically has the exact same stats as the Catalyst that I already have, but it looks a little cooler. So I'm just gonna. It's an upgrade in appearance, if not actual power. Hang on, quick water break. The big debate I'm having is whether or not I want to invest my points into, or invest my, some of my mats into my remaining pieces. There's not that much of the game left to clear, so I might as well enjoy playing with maxed out gear. But because I get so sick of the way certain things look very, very quickly, I'm constantly changing. So, that looks kind of cool, but for whatever reason, it just looks way cooler on my test build, which is a male character. But just for some variety, I'm going to wear this for a little while before switching back to my purdy, shiny blouse. It's me getting lost in the corner, which is just, I had a moment of intense disorientation. But what I like about the white shirt that I've been wearing is that it's kind of it's skin tight and kind of shows off your physique, but also makes you look a little like shiny and metallic. There's something that's very, very unusual about it, that I just like the way it reflects light. But my next move is to go to the Duke's Archives. The Duke's Archives is an interesting area because you can't kill the boss there until you go to the next zone. But within the Duke's Archives, you've figured out that Big Hat Logan has been kidnapped again and captured, and when you free him, you get access to his spells. What's weird is that after you buy all the spells, he spends so much time studying magic and obsessing over old spells and like old lore that he ends up going fucking crazy, and you have to fight him to the death, and then you get one last really, really great sorcery spell. So I don't know, maybe it's a cautionary tale about, this is when they first went Dark Souls 1, that spell would have hit him in the face in Dark Souls 2 or 3 just by eyeballing it, but because of Dark Souls 1, it just disappears. Anyway, these guys, I highly recommend you just lure them out to the gate. They will not come through the gate, but if you fight them melee-wise in that narrow hallway and they get a hold of you with their horns, they will make you a very unhappy person. So, because he's just essentially a captive audience, I'm just shooting spells, my slow spells at him. I always try to save my soul spears for times when I need to shoot quickly and shoot hard. But he's the easy one. The hard one is the next one, who has more than enough time to catch up with you and wreck your shit. One thing I'm interested in trying to figure out is whether or not this catalyst versus the sorcery catalyst has a different, because this one's longer, so it looks a little cooler in a shoot, but whether or not it starts from a higher point, meaning that if you're in a low ceiling area, there's a possibility of your spell not shooting because it'll hit whatever's above you. But I'll just have to experiment as I go. But I've been playing with that Sorcerer Catalyst since the very beginning of the game, basically, and it's just time to have a different look. This guy is actually tricking me. He made me think he's not going to come any further than that, but he's more than happy to come further than that, and he wrecks my face. And, oof, yeah. It would not be the first time that I've died in this hallway, so I'm just rolling out and getting healed up. I know Londo's still sunny in the background because Gwendolyn is still alive. Just remember, Guinevere is an illusion that Gwendolyn is keeping in place. I made the mistake in an earlier video of saying that Guinevere is creating the illusion. She's the illusion. It's her sister who's keeping alive, and Gwendolyn's the youngest daughter of Gwen, and Gwen is the final boss in the game. But I will be fighting her, but I'm just not going to do it quite yet because I just feel like doing some other things. It's one of the many things on my to-do list, but don't worry. She will die before this is done. So this is the beginning of the Duke's Archives. This area is actually inferior, in my opinion, to the Archives in Dark Souls 3. There are not a lot of areas where I feel like Dark Souls 3 has the advantage over Dark Souls 1. But this, they both have these big-ass libraries where you find a lot of spells and fight a lot of interesting people. And I just feel like Dark Souls 3, for whatever reason, really showed how it's done. But this is an essential area, so we got to get her done, man. The big thing is filled with all these little crystal bastards. Not really sure what the fuck they are, but they are these little crystal people, and they're pretty resistant to magic, I think. But they hit pretty damn hard, and I'm wearing very little armor because crystal weapons. If you are a dex build or a strength build, crystal weapons are awesome because they scale with your strength and dexterity. However, they become very fragile. They break pretty quickly, but that never seems to bother the bad guys. So if you are playing with a dex or strength build, I recommend you at least have one badass crystal weapon. Just recognize that it's going to lose its endurance or whatever you call it. It's going to get fragile and break really, really quickly. So you got to just be prepared to repair. But I've never really messed around with crystal weapons. I don't like it having to constantly repair my gear. It just seems annoying as hell. I didn't like it in World of Warcraft. I don't like it basically in any game. I understand that it gives you something else to think about, but I've never really understood why they do it unless it's going to introduce something interesting into the gameplay. And I don't know, it just seems like they're just giving you more shit to worry about. But here's the thing. In here, these guys, for whatever reason, they're real easy to backstab. I don't know why they're so easy to backstab. But I'm just rocking out my enchanted knife or daggers, not even fully upgraded, but it one-shots them every single time I forget a backstab, so I'm just going to be backstabbing the fuck out of them as I go, because why not? I save my spells and I can play for longer without having to stop and reset. This guy is crucial to kill because he drops the Broken Pendant. Broken Pendant is basically something that you have to have in order to enter the expansion pack. You go back to where you first rescued the sorceress from way back when, the one who's imprisoned in that brown crystal golem near the first Hydra boss, and there's this little portal there. When you get close to it, if you have the Broken Pendant, this hand reaches out and will grab you and suck you in, and that allows you to go to the Ulaship Township. It allows you to go to the whatever the back in time area is that's outside of where Sif is. I can't remember what the hell it's called. And it gives you access to the Abyss. Actually, not the Abyss. Where the hell do you fight Manus? Anyway, Manus, you fight him in this really, really dark, evil, scary place. But it's one of the coolest zones that they've ever designed. I'm a big fan of it. But yeah, I highly recommend doing the expansion pack. It's 3 zones. You can bang them out pretty quickly, but it's got 3 extremely challenging bosses. You got Calamite. You've got what the hell's his name? Artorias, and you've got Manus, and they're all they're some of but they consistently rank. Whenever you watch YouTube videos and they talk about the all-time great Dark Souls bosses, all 3 of those guys constantly pop up. Even if you're doing a list of Bloodborne, Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, those 3 bosses from the Dark Souls expansion pack always pop up. I think because a lot of people recognize the second half of Dark Souls feels a little rushed compared to the first half. The first half is just a genuine masterpiece of gaming. And when they got the justifiable criticisms that the second half didn't quite match the first half, they're like, you know what? Fuck you guys. We're going to show you what it's all about. And they created this really, really kick-ass expansion pack, which, unlike Dark Souls 2, which was 3 separate worlds, or 3 separate zones, the Dark Souls 1 expansion pack, they're all interconnected. And so once again, you just have that world building versus zone building. I'm a big fan of having cool zones and levels, but I like it even more when it's a world and they're all interconnected. So what I'm doing now is I'm just finishing off these bastards. There's a little treasure in the area, and you just want to kill them. There's one mimic you got to kill as well, I believe. And then you got to catch the elevator up to Seath the Scaleless. Another thing I should mention is that you want to put on a Ring of Sacrifice. Before you meet Seath the Scaleless for the first time you meet Seath, you cannot kill it. It's impossible. It immediately heals from every single attack. So it's going to kill you, and it's going to put you in jail. And so what you want to do is put on your Ring of Sacrifice so that you don't lose your souls when you inevitably die. One sec, quick water break. I woke up from a little power nap earlier. I had a bunch of work to do earlier today in the wonderful world of animation, planning some stuff for New York Comic Con, which should be pretty cool, but a short film that I produced starring the legendary Patton Oswalt, directed by indie animation legend Bill Plimpton. We're going to be making a little Comic Con exclusive for a project we worked on together, which I'm fired up about. But now that my workday is done, I can mess around and do some gaming stuff. Also, I'm recognizing I'm so close now to finishing this walkthrough. I just want to get it done and just start promoting it as a complete walkthrough. 'Cause, I mean, a partially completed walkthrough is not that appealing unless someone you just really, really love the person who's recording it. But in that, I'm trying to make people aware of the fact that I have done this walkthrough. I just feel like it'll be easier to market it once I have it finished. Now, this, I believe, is the Mimics. But just test it. And yeah, it's a mimic. And yeah, as a sorcerer, I struggle with mimics because I'm always backing up to cast spells, and then he's always doing these flying, spinning back kicks like that, which look cool as shit. I mean, it's so ridiculous and so cool all at once. I just love the absurdity of it. So it's always challenging. I should just melee him. I don't know why I always try to cast spells on him. But yeah, if you just jump under him or roll under him when he's doing that, you can hit him in the back. All you have to do is just make sure that you never are standing in front of him when he reaches down to grab you. I'm very lucky he didn't kick me in the face there. But yeah, he's pretty vulnerable to spells. But man, it's easier to melee him. In Dark Souls 3, I was just killing him like a champ. I was just never getting touched. And yeah, Crystal Knight Shield, I don't even know what that does. I'm assuming it's a powerful shield that breaks quickly, which seems like a pretty worthless point. All right, the reason I'm looking over there, see that treasure chest on that stack of books? That's very hard to get, and I'll be showing how to get it later on. I've actually never gotten it in any walkthrough or any playthrough because it is such a giant pain in the ass, and it takes so much patience to try and do it. And it's just so goddamn annoying, and it's for something I don't want to use. It's one of those really, really fast, like cripple crossbow things. I think it's called like Asbatros, or I can't remember what the hell it's called. But you shoot it, and it shoots 3 bolts real quickly. And in Dark Souls 2, people really enjoyed dual wielding them, and they just were fucking people up. I never use crossbows. Anyway, that's me putting on my Ring of Sacrifice because I'm about to head up to Seath the Scaleless, who's one of the main bosses of the game, who's also featured in the opening cinematic. He looks cool as shit. He is a dragon that betrayed the rest of his fellow dragons, helping win the war against them. So yeah, he is a total fucker. He committed genocide against his own people. And his like heart or his body is actually like elsewhere, but we got to get through Duke's archives, through the Crystal Forest and the Crystal Cave to get to him. These guys are pretty powerful. He's slow rolling. I don't know why he keeps rolling toward me, but he's wearing so much gear and so much armor. He is slow rolling like hell, so he ain't much of a threat unless you let him hit you, and then he hits you hard. He will hit real hard. And boosh! He hit me because I shot over his head because I suck. So anyway, once you got the Ring of Sacrifice on, you're ready to go. And you can fight Seath for fun, but the way you fight him here has almost nothing to do with how you fight him in the next version. I mean, he puts stuff on the ground. Ooh, Crystal Lizard. Forgot about him. Yeah, just more shit because I'm not finished upgrading my dagger yet, but I will be soon. Those blue Titanite chunks will help. I think I still need to get to +4, and the blue Titanite slab I'll need to finish it and take it to +5 will be available in the area leading up to where I finally fight Seath for real. Anyway, there's Seath. He's pretty cool looking. He's like connected into the crystal itself, but when you fight him later on, he won't be an extension of the crystal. He'll just be like a proper dragon. That is weird. It looks like he's almost like a cancerous growth out of the crystal that he's trapped. It doesn't look like he picked the right side. It doesn't look like he's having much fun. But if you don't feel like fighting him, you just want to go ahead and let him kill you and move on to the next stage. Just standing stuff. It'll take you out. And you will be coming back here because when Big Hat Logan finally goes crazy And basically, when he goes crazy after you buy all the spells, he'll come hang out up here, and you can come up here, and you can fight him, and it's good fun. We'll have a proper duel between sorcerers to figure out who the best damn sorcerer alive is, and I'm going to fuck him up. So now I'm in this area. I love this area because you cannot warp out of it. It actually forces you to reckon with the zone. And so once you're here, right or wrong, you got to figure it out. So you got to just hunker down and get it finished. But I've always been a big fan of situations where you have to kind of rebuild. The only thing that would have made it cooler would be if they had temporarily taken away all your gear and forced you to work with like shitty gear for a little while, and then like you find a treasure chest with all your gear later on. But I've always liked scenarios in role-playing games, whether it's tabletop or video games, where you essentially have to like play with subpar materials and kind of rebuild it. It kind of makes you appreciate just how good your gear has gotten, which has been improving gradually over time. But at any rate, it's just cool that you are a prisoner and have this scenario, because there's no other moment in the Dark Souls games where something like that happens. But a lot of locked doors here, but there are keys all around, and there are bad guys you can fight to get them. This one, he's just chilling, and you just stab him through the bars and take his key. It would have been, I guess they could have tried to do a little something more with it, where you kind of trick him to unlock you or whatever. But anyway, kill him, you got the key, and now you're out. And this is, it's a weird room. For me, this room feels a little bit unfinished, because it looks like there's stuff here that they were planning on doing stuff with it, but they never quite got around to it. I don't know, maybe I'm just misinterpreting the design of the room, but you'll see. It seems like there was something giant they had planned for it that just got lost in the planning stages or due to a rushed production schedule. That could be totally unfair on my part, but I feel that way, whether it's right or wrong. So these lizard guys, for whatever reason, when this horn is playing, they'll just run right past you and run up, and they'll kind of like guard the doorway to the next zone. So you don't have to fight them now, but eventually when you go up there to open up the door, when you climb up the ladder, they'll climb down the ladder and start kicking you. So that's annoying. So anyway, you don't have to open up these cages, but why not? I just like backstabbing guys. I love the sound it makes when you backstab these crystal guys, and I love the little poofy sparkles that pop out of them. It reminds me a bit of the end of the movie Kingsman: The Secret Service, when they are blowing up everybody's heads. But they're just so easy to backstab. It's just fun to do it. I should probably try parrying them as well, but I didn't do it just because the backstabs are just so damn easy to get. They're just slow. Anything that's slow, and it has like a big wide area behind it, you can just backstab them all day, especially with the dagger. The dagger's so damn fast. And this is actually my first playthrough ever on any character where I played with a dagger, except for on my test build. My test build of dagger also, just to see if I liked it. And I'm actually surprised at how freaking good it is. I mean, no one ever plays with a dagger. Actually, that's not true. I've seen like rogue kind of dex builds, dual wielding daggers, which seems to work out pretty well for some characters in Dark Souls 2 and 3. But I just feel like, traditionally when I played AD&D in the 80s, back in the day, magic users, or aka mages, could only really wield a few things for weapons. They could wield dagger, and they could wield a quarterstaff. And, they didn't get a whole lot of proficiency in the weapons, but they just weren't allowed to pick weapons. So I just always got used to the idea of mages being dagger wielders. But if you read Tolkien, Gandalf wields Glamdring. There are plenty of stories where wizards are using big-ass swords. I've always felt like part of the appeal of being a warrior is that you get to use a sword. You have to learn how to use a sword. It shouldn't just be a given. So for my own personal role-playing, I enjoy playing mages with daggers, or sorcerers with daggers. I think I've got one ring slot missing to my Ring of Sacrifice. I broke, so my spells aren't hitting quite as hard as they should, but I'm getting some decent souls, and just leveling up all the time. I have a feeling I'm going to get to 100, no problem, before this is all said and done. And then I realize, I've got an empty ring slot. Let's jack up our spells a little bit. The big question is whether or not I'm going to find any catalysts that hit for any harder than the one I've got. Because I've never played through a sorcerer before, I've never really messed around with the catalyst. So far, I haven't found a catalyst that's stronger yet at high levels. I found a few catalysts that are stronger when my intelligence is 30 or lower, but my intelligence is 55 now, so I need the good staffs. I need the best staffs. A scaling, S scaling, tons of magic bonus. Anyway, down here, this big area, this is what I'm running around, where I always feel like they meant to do something and they just, for whatever reason, didn't do it. Like they meant to have like a trap or a puzzle or something, but it just seems like it's like all these like gears and wheels, and it's like, what the hell did they mean to do with this thing? But ordinarily, these guys will all be in here if the horn weren't blown, but when the horn's blowing, they'll come out looking for you. For whatever reason, these guys hang back, and they just let you kill them, which is fine for me. But they have 2 of the major faith spells in the game. So this area is not just for sorcerers, it's also for faith builds, because both these guys drop faith spells. But the real reward of this place is unlocking Big Hat Logan for the final stretch and all of his final spells, including Crystal Soul Spear, which is just, when you have high intelligence, it is just a giant laser beam of death that just fucks the shit out of bosses. It takes away a ton of their health. I mean, I've seen people doing their speed runs where they're using that and they've got the red tearstone ring on and they're letting their health get low, and it's just like whoop, when it like one-shots bosses. You're just like, all right, that's powerful. So, moving on, run up to the top because I fucked up. There is an area back there that I should have climbed up to turn off the horn and grab a treasure chest, but there is an interesting piece here that changes depending upon what you've done and in what order. But basically, the faith girl who was praying down near Firelight Shrine before, she can eventually be imprisoned here depending upon the order in which you do things. But I haven't met her yet down in the Tomb of the Giant ship, which is where she's down there. Her 2 guides have gone hollow, and then you free her. And then she goes back to the bell tower where the gargoyles are, and you'll find her praying, and she becomes a really, really phenomenal faith vendor at that point, like selling all the final spells. But after you buy a few of them, she gets kidnapped and brought here. But for whatever reason, if you come here before she's been kidnapped, you find a corpse that basically is her corpse with her gear. But I'm interested to see if I still meet her down in the Tomb of Giants, and whether or not she assumes her spot as the faith vendor. Granted, I'm not buying any of those spells, it doesn't really matter. But when I played through my faith build, I was really, really careful to do everything in the right order to make sure I could buy all the spells. Because Dark Souls, the game's a son of a bitch. And if you fuck something up and you're unable to buy all your spells, they don't give a fuck. Look, better luck next time. Sorry, like level up a weapon or just figure it out. But they do not care one bit about your inability to maximize your characters. So this part's a little bit tricky. You walk on the edge. You don't want to roll too close to the wall because the edge along the wall will push you away and you'll fall and die. You want to just miss the first ledge and land on the second one. And I've died many times learning how to do that properly. But here is her gear, and it's got the white seance ring, which is pretty cool because it adds more attunement slots if you wish to wear it, which is a good thing, I guess, if you want more attunement slots. But yeah, I've been rocking out 5 attunement slots for a while now, and I'm having very few problems with running. I don't think I've run out of spells yet, so I don't know if I'll put any more spells into attunement this entire playthrough. So now it is time to go down, back down to the bottom like I should have done initially. So I'm just going to fast forward it. It's been since early April since I've been through here, so I just had forgotten. Got to climb up this ladder, which I will now show in regular speed. There are a couple of those like cobra guys or snake guys from Sin's Fortress up here, and they're guarding a treasure chest, and they're guarding your ability to turn up the horn. But once again, the horn, I don't know what the alarm thing's really for. When you turn it off, you're able to unlock the door out of here, and the little slimy tentacle guys will begin appearing only down by the cage door. But once again, this whole area just feels like they were building towards something and then just kind of forgot what they were doing or just never finished it. It seems like something should have happened after you stop the horn from playing that just doesn't happen. So yeah, I'll never get over the sensation that this room is just not done. But fuck it, it's still kind of a cool room. But it's not going to go down in anyone's record books as like the all-time great Dark Souls zone. I'm going for the backstab because I like backstabbing the big cobra heads because I hate them. Hate them from Sin's Fortress, and I got the backstab. Skadoosh. Love backstabbing. Backstabbing. So here's one treasure chest. You can see Big Hat Logan down there, his cage down there. So I've got that big-ass key now, which allows me to get out of the room. I'm going to turn off the horn, which makes the alarm stop going. And you don't have to feel like you're going crazy anymore. Oh, that's kind of a cool sound. Makes the room more atmospheric. So now it is time to move on to the main body of the archives. And the main body of the archives can be a little bewildering. You have to like move certain levers around to rotate stairwells around in order to get access to certain areas. But it's really not that hard. You just got to make sure that you don't get zapped in the face by these spells. There's a lot of archers and there's a lot of spellcasters or channelers, so you're constantly being shot at from all directions. And I don't have a whole lot of armor, so I just 2 or 3 hits all at once and I'm totally fucked. But yeah, just climbing on up. But what else is going on in the wonderful world of entertainment while I'm moving from one zone to the next? Oh, there's some interesting stuff about Guardians of the Galaxy in the news in the last day or so. I'm real fired up for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 was like this massive hit that should have never been a hit, that have just made everybody fall in love with these characters. Like, it's what I love about Guardians of the Galaxy was that there's never been a comic book movie made like it before in terms of having like space opera and like crazy rock and roll music and all that cool stuff. It really successfully opened up that side of the Marvel Universe. But another thing is that it kind of disproved the rule that you have to make your comic movies really, really loyal to the origins of the comics. Most comic book movies, I like it if they kind of pay lip service to where it came from. But Guardians of the Galaxy, the original crew, are all from the future, and it's totally different characters. They based the movie on the lineup from the comics from the 21st century, after the other characters have been around for decades. Characters that I know and love from the Korvac saga and the pages of the Avengers and everything. But this is all a long way of saying I thought James Gunn did a really, really phenomenal job showing us something that we'd never seen before in the world of Marvel or any superhero movies. And it just showed that August is a viable month, and now everybody's like, ooh, August, that's like the Dark Horse month. That's when you like release your really, really cool shit. And it also showed that you could have kind of like outlaws and rogues and villain or semi-villains be your central characters, and that people would still totally be into it. But there's a picture online from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which shows them out in space fighting this big giant creature. It basically looks like a comic book cover that could have happened in the 70s, but it shows Gamora, Rocket, Baby Groot, who's still in baby form, Star-Lord, and Drax fighting this giant space creature with tentacles. It's like a big, giant Lovecraftian space demon with tons of teeth, and it is the kind of shit that is just, it's comic books at their best. Like, the very first cover of the Justice League, which was like actually an issue of A Brave and the Bold, but it was the first appearance of the Justice League of America. They're fighting Starro, the Conqueror, and they're all coming in. And like the first issue of Fantastic Four, they're fighting a big giant green dude, and they're all in various stages. So this definitely feels like a throwback to those classic covers where you have all the team fighting one big giant thing. And whether or not this is the main antagonist or something they encounter early on in the movie, we have no idea, but I just like the tone that is establishing. I love the fact that in Guardians, it was just weird. Like, you had a giant celestial head that was being mined for the organic goo on the inside, and that they didn't shy away from the strange side of Marvel Universe, like cosmic entities and that sort of thing. So the fact that Kurt Russell's playing Ego the Living Planet shows that, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 will be as weird, if not weirder, than the first one. So bring on the strangeness. Right now I'm jacking up this bonfire because this is the bonfire I'll be using most likely in anticipation of my fight with Seath the Scaleless. I believe this is the last bonfire that I get before I fight Seath, and so I just feel like it's a long walk to get down to him, and you fight a lot of crazy crystal guys. And granted, there's more danger to falling in the crystal cave because of invisible bridges you have to walk across than there is to actually dying to stuff, but I just want to have I don't want health to be a factor when I'm fighting that guy, and yeah, I've got a decent number of humanities now. It's not gonna, when I'm getting rapidly reaching the point where I need to farm 30 humanities in order to max out the faction that gives me the shortcut that I want to use, but I'm not worried about farming on those humanities. It won't take me that long to farm, like 10 or 15 of them. But yeah, so once again, I'm being shot by arrows from up above. You can see, one arrow and like one melee hit at the same time, and I'm already in really, really tight spot. I need to get my health up a little higher. I should take my my stat either to 35 or to 40. Right now it's at 30. And that's just not quite. I mean, granted, people clear the game, no problem with this much health, but I'm not as good as some of those people, so I just will probably raise it. I really want Intelligence 60. I really want Strength 14. I really want Dex 14 because I want to be a scythe-wielding, maxed-out sorcerer. And that, for me, for the time being, takes priority over my health. Although I probably will put a few points in my health. The good news is I probably got like 25 more points I'm going to get before the end of this walkthrough. Meaning there's, like 13 points to spare apart from the stats I want for my weapons and my spells, which means I could put 10 into my health and still have a few left over. So I'm going to have all the points in the world that I need for doing all the things that I want to do for this build. So I'm no longer worried about having all the points I require. Another sparkly backstab. I just fucking love that. I will never get tired of that. I could have basically played this with a dagger for a day just doing sparkly backstabs and been a very, very happy gamer. These hallways, you don't need to run up and down each and every one of them, but I do because I can't quite remember which ones have treasure chests and which ones don't. Some of them have treasure chests, some of them have bad guys, but I just wanted to make sure I did an absolute 100% full clear of Duke's archives. Granted, it won't be 100% fully cleared until I return after Seath's death, buy all the spells from Big Hat Logan, and fight him for real back in Seath's first chamber. But I'm going to clear enough of it now to get all the good spells. So this is when you have to be careful because you got spellcasters up above shooting down at you. You got archers down the hallway shooting arrows at you. It's just, as you can tell, not good to be attacked on three sides. You don't want to be getting meleeed and arrows fired at you and spells fired at you in a narrow hallway. It just will never work to your advantage. So I'm putting on my upgraded chest piece. I'm not even sure if it's better than the witch cloak. It's certainly lighter, so maybe it has less protection, but I just felt like I needed to get my game face on, so it's time to get lean and mean. I just need my character to look like a bad motherfucker. And this outfit that I've created for this playthrough, I just think looks super duper cool. So yeah, it's kind of like a weird androgynous thing. I've always found like I don't know, like I'm getting probably way too confessional now for a walkthrough, but I do think it's cool when like good-looking girls wear kind of like vaguely masculine clothes, kind of like Marlene Dietrich style. What that says about me, who knows? This is a mistake that I'm making. This is actually back to the original area where I first took the elevator up to Seath. I thought I was one level higher than I actually am. So I'm running through here, killing all these guys, but you should be able to recognize it. Like, there's that treasure chest on the top of the bookshelf. This is where I fought the Mimic before, and this is me realizing, oh, wait a second, I might be fucking up. What I need to be is one level higher and rotate some steps around, but I'll get there sooner or later. Man, I hate shooting over people's heads. When I get to Dark Souls 3, I will never shoot over people's heads because the soul arrows in that game are almost too good. Like, they don't necessarily hit that hard, but they really track well. Another thing that's cool about Dark Souls 3, like, this is a heresy for some people to say that Dark Souls 3 has any advantages or superiority over Dark Souls 1, but it does a different thing with the magic. When you select a spell, you can cast that spell as many times as you want, as long as your mana or spirit or FP or whatever they call it, as long as it lasts. But what's cool is that, like, say you equip 5 spells, you can decide to use all your magic power on one spell, or you can use them as needed. But essentially, like right now, I have to equip multiple attack spells just to make sure I never run out, because there is no FP or mana, whatever resource you use that you spend to cast spells. So I have to say I prefer Dark Souls 3 in terms of how they have you equip your spells. What I don't really like is the way they do Estus flasks, and how you have like FP Estus flasks and like health Estus flasks, and how if you're a spellcaster, you essentially have to sacrifice a few of your heals in order to have enough Estus flasks to get your magic back while you're fighting. So it seems like melee people are at an advantage in terms of healing, because I don't necessarily, when I play a sorcerer, in a weird way, I don't want to learn any faith spells. I don't want to invest any time or energy into that. And so, but, you know, a sorcerer needs to be able to heal just like a warrior does. So, but a sorcerer at most is going to have about half the heals that a warrior does, just because you got to have some stuff for your magic. But we'll get into all that in my next walkthrough. Yeah, tomorrow is Wednesday. We're going to get big Dark Souls news in terms of when we can expect the expansion. But I've just decided, even if I do a Dark Souls 3 walkthrough and then go back and do my Dark Souls 2 walkthrough while waiting for the Dark Souls 3 expansion to come out, but I just want to get back into Dark Souls 3. I have cleared Dark Souls 2 so many times on regular and New Game Plus, even New Game Plus Plus, that I'm just kind of sick of it at this point. I played Dark Souls 2 basically for a year straight, apart from the time, the hiatus I took to play Fallout 4 for a while. And I ended up clearing, doing two full clears of Fallout 4. Never been a ton of expansion packs that have come out, or DLCs, since I stopped playing Fallout 4. So it actually might be worth it to go back, now that I've got this channel, and do some DLC Fallout 4 videos just for fun. Just play them through and just record my reactions in real time. We shall decide that once we've done our Dark Souls 3 walkthrough. But yeah, now that I'm making these videos, it's totally changed the way I look at video games. It's totally changed the way I play video games. I'm much more focused, and I'm, all right, so here's the thing. You switch this guy, and you rotate him around. While it's rolling and around, you want to run off the bottom of the stairs and drop down to the bookshelf to get the little fast crossbow thing. You have to time it just right so that you walk off the stairs and fall and land on the bookshelf at precisely the right moment. See, I'm going to look down there and see, there it is. You can see it. So as this lower stairwell is spinning around, that's when you drop off down to it. There was a time on my very first successful walkthrough where I tried for an hour, and I kept missing it, and I kept missing it, and it just sucked, and it was awful, and I was just getting more and more frustrated, because if you miss the bookshelf, I think you die to fall damage, and you got to start all over, and all these fuckers respawn, and I just got so sick of fighting them. I couldn't handle fighting these goddamn crystal people anymore. So now that I've taken the stairwell around to the other side, though, it gives me access to some stuff on this side that I did not previously have access to. So we are moving right along. I'm just getting rid of this archer down here because I hate archers. Because usually at the least convenient time when you don't want to get hit by an arrow, that's when they just stagger you with a headshot, and you're just like, oh, wobbling all around. And this character has no poise of any kind, so I get staggered super duper easy. So you want to run and jump, drop down, and then you want to kill this motherfucker. But I am screwing up. For some reason, I'm unable to target him with my spells. I'm just shooting the ground like a tard. So I'm gonna back off, switch to one of my powerful spells, and then rape his face. Die! He's gone. Yeah, Soul Spear is getting strong, and I'm gonna have my Crystal Soul Spear soon. So I'm gonna be just rolling or bathing in the blood of my dead enemies very, very soon. So my next step is I need to rotate this stairwell around, and that'll give me access to the middle floor on this side, which will allow me to open up a shortcut. Strong Magic Shield, which I've never used. I think when PvP was super duper active in Dark Souls, there were some people that would cast Magic Shield, but I've never had a need for casting defense spells against magic. I guess there's some bosses where you could cast it where it'd be useful, but once again, I'm a big fan of having a light character that dodges everything and then hits hard, and I just don't feel like wasting any spells on big defense spells, unless it's something like a remedy, which is truly fucking useful down in Blighttown. So I can hang a left here, but I'm just checking around the corner. So yeah, over here there's an archer on the opposite side. He is annoying as hell. And he's just close enough that if you stand against the edge and try to shoot a spell, that he can interrupt you while you're trying to cast. But I at least got my spell up before he shot me in the face. And I'm going to roll down to the secret passage. So what other movie news is going on? More stuff coming out about the Flash solo movie starring Ezra Miller. I don't know what y'all think about the Flash movie versus the Flash TV show. But Ezra Miller obviously he appeared very, very briefly in Batman v Superman. He appeared slightly less briefly in Suicide Squad, and obviously he's going to be one of the main characters in Justice League, which is shooting now. But after that, they're going to have a Flash flick. And the news was that Cyborg is going to be appearing in it. They're probably trying to set those two guys up as buddies. In the comics, for me, Flash has always been cooler when he teams up with Green Lantern, but they are still probably trying to pretend like the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds never happened, because that was supposed to be the big like start of the DC cinematic universe, and it totally didn't work, so that didn't happen. But at a certain point, you need to have that classic duo or team up. Flash and Green Lantern have always been like this perfect kind of brave and bold team up. If you want to dress like a Chandler, I don't know why you would, but it's heavy-ass spellcaster gear, but that's where it is. There is a Mimic in this room, so I'm just testing every single one of them. All right, I just got the giant cell key, which gives me access to Logan. And there is the Mimic. Yeah, I have a bad habit when I'm running away from these guys of trying to spin around and target them too quickly, and it never quite works. But, yeah, that's the best time to shoot them. When they do that lunge forward attack, they're so fucked. It's the flying, spinning sidekick that they do. I'm not quite sure what that move is. I don't even know if it's possible to do that in real life, so I don't know if there's an actual term for it, but it's straight out of the movies. It looks cool as hell. That's the only move that consistently whacks me. But this is the Crystal Ember. I'm not a dex guy, nor am I a strength guy, so I will not be using it. But if you want to make those weapons, I think you have to take it to the big giant dude in Honor Orlando, that blacksmith. I think he can use it to upgrade weapons. Not 100% positive, but I will find out the next time I'm near Andre. I think Andre's the name of the regular blacksmith. But there are a couple of embers that he can't use. There's a flame ember that you have to use with the guy down at the bottom of the catacombs, and there's another one you have to use with the big giant dude in Honor Orlando. But I'm not really worried about that. Prism, I can't even pick up this prism stones because I've got like 95 of them on me, so it's just going to sit there on the ground because you can only carry 99 total. Therefore, you just can't pick any more things up. But I will be using my prism stones in a big way in the next zone when I go there, because I'll need it to get the blue Titanite slab. So I'm just going to poke my nose out here. I'm a little bit nervous because I'm low on flash, not low on flash, but low on spells, and I need my most powerful spells. But this giant like crystal dude, inside of him is Siegmeyer of Katarina's daughter. She dresses the exact same way. So you have to kill him, and you gotta be careful when you do it, because afterwards she drops out. You can talk to her, and she asks you, have you seen the father? And anyway, you can reunite them and continue their quest line. This guy will not appear until you have spoken to Siegmeyer in Blighttown. So it's absolutely important that you go back down to Blighttown, find Siegmeyer, and come here and get uppercutted by this motherfucker. So, yeah, I can tell my melee issues aren't working, but yeah, I really need my soul arrows, or my soul spears, or crystal soul spear to fight them, because soul arrows are just doing jack shit for damage. But the problem is when I melee them, he's uppercutting the fucking shit out of me, so it's just not going so well. Plus, I'm not even doing this zone yet. The only reason I came to the Duke's Archives was to unlock the spells. I will be coming back here because my spells don't do shit against these crystal guys. And in the next zone, it's nothing but these crystal guys. On the way to Seath, I have to fight a bunch of these guys on like narrow bridges, and if they don't die to my spells, it's gonna be a problem. So I need to jack up either a weapon to kill them with, or I might consider jacking up a pyromancy glove, because they're really vulnerable to fire. This is me. Everything's already still dead, so I'm just running back. I've got the key. I need to go rescue Big Hat Logan. But yeah, my big debate is whether or not my intelligence and spells, when they're fully maxed out, whether or not they'll be strong enough to fight the crystal guys leading up to Seath, because there are only a handful of them that I have to fight. But there's one on a narrow bridge who's really, really tough, and if I can't kill him before he gets to me, he tends to knock me off, which just sucks. So we shall see. And plus, what's the point of getting to Seath if I don't have any spells when I get to him? I'm still debating that, but I just remember on my very first successful playthrough that my Pyromancer would kill them in like 2 hits. Like they suck against fire. But I kind of like the idea of clearing the game with a pure sorcerer and never cheating by whipping out a Pyromancy glove. But I can do a Pyromancy glove because it's not stat dependent in Dark Souls 1. If you're a Pyromancer in Dark Souls 1, the only thing that matters is investing souls into your glove to jack it up, and that sort of affects the power of the spells. But I don't want to spend all those souls, and I don't want to farm all those souls to jack up the gloves. I might just suck it up and fight the crystal guys in the crystal cave, even though it'll take me like 100 spells to kill each and every one of them. I just might have to bear that burden and just remain a pure sorcerer. Anyway, now I can get in here. Here's Big Hat Logan, and he's going to be all excited because he gets to go study in the library now. And I see this guy coming. What I don't want is this guy to be swinging at me and accidentally hit or kill Big Hat Logan, because these spells I desperately need. Any other bad guys in the area, don't talk to any NPCs you like, because it just doesn't go well. I think sometimes if they get hit and they get mad at you, you can go request absolution and they stop being mad at you, but I just don't want to risk him getting killed. So, I've talked to him now. He's ready to go visit the library. And down here we have a Firekeeper soul. So, yeah, Firekeeper souls are massive. I can jack up my flask. There are 2 more buffs that I know I can get. After I've opened the shortcut with the Chaos Keepers, that it's the big giant gray spider lady who's kind of like the twin of or the buddy of Quila. I can't remember if they're siblings or not. But if you kill that Covenant leader, you get a Firekeeper soul. And after I kill the illusion of Guinevere and fight Gwendolyn, the Firekeeper person in the area, they'll get pissed and they'll come attack me. And I think that person gives me a Firekeeper soul as well. So I think I will be able to max out my Estus Velastus +6 on this playthrough. But +6 is the best you can get with your flask in one single playthrough. But I definitely want to max that out. So this is where Big Hat Logan's going to stay until I successfully buy all the spells. He's telling me now about Seath and how to kill Seath, blah, 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 blah. And I have to go into the Primordial Crystal Anyway, I've got to go into the Crystal Forest and fight him there, and then I'll be able to kill him. But Big Hat will stay here reading books until I've bought every single spell. And once I buy every single spell, he'll start talking a little crazy. And after he's talked a little crazy for a while, he just goes proper crazy and goes to Seath's main room where you have to fight him. But I've got to get about 100,000 souls before I can buy all of his spells. Another thing is that depending upon if you're just playing through for the experience of playing through, or how many boss weapons you want to make. Boss weapons are weapons that you basically take a regular weapon and a soul from a boss, and you combine them by talking to the big giant blacksmith in Anor Londo, and you can make boss weapons. But the stat requirements for a lot of this boss weapons is pretty high. So if you're not planning on leveling up to 125 and just kind of playing for fun or doing New Game Plus, you probably won't be making a lot of boss weapons. I think the only one I'm going to make is this catalyst you can make after you kill Manus. And at that point, I'm not even getting it to really use the fucking thing, because there's only one boss left after that, the last boss. But I know for a fact, I looked up just now all the different weapons you can make, and I'm not going to use the soul of the Iron Golem for anything. So I went ahead and ate that soul to have enough souls to buy Crystal Soul Spear, because I want that for the next zone. The next zone I'm going to is the Tomb of the Giants. And when I fight Nito, I want to be shooting him in the face with insanely powerful spells. So I'm just rearranging my spells now. It means that, these Soul Spear spells, you means you have fewer of them, but they hit so hard. If you hit the right people with them, it saves you a lot of time and a lot of grief. So time to turn in my Firekeeper soul. It's been a while since I've got an upgrade, but now I'm up to +4, which I could probably finish the game with +4 just fine, but I am going to take that fucker to +6, because this is a complete walkthrough. And the last thing I'm going to do is go talk to my other little sorcerer buddy over here. He's all excited about finding Big Hat Logan. But another thing is that Big Hat Logan left him some spells. Big Hat Logan had an inventory of spells he was selling here before he went in search of the archives, and he gives that inventory over to this guy when he leaves. So any spells that you didn't get prior to Logan going missing, you can now buy them here, including a second Soul Spear, which I want to get. That's 40,000 souls. But when I have 2 Soul Spears and also 1 Crystal Soul Spear, I'm so goddamn OP at that point. But that is definitely the plan. That is the goal. I just got to save up 40,000 souls now to buy it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. I'll be back. I can't remember what my next video is, but it's going to be a doozy, I'm sure, whatever it is. So thanks so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll be talking to y'all soon. Bye-bye.